Hey, my name is Connor and I am from England, and today I would like to talk about the disadvantages of having a native English speaker in an ESL classroom. So let's jump straight in. One of my main points actually is unless the native English speaker has actually learned a foreign language, a second or third language, it's almost impossible for them to know the feeling of being insecure and of being completely overwhelmed by a language barrier. And this can be complicated in the classroom because we've grown up with language and been surrounded by English for all our lives. We don't understand the feeling of not actually understanding everything that is being said to us. So in the classroom, for example, just explaining a normal activity, we may speak fast or a normal pace for ourselves, but that can be super fast for the students learning the language. And this can be quite difficult for both parts because they're not going to understand what we're saying and we're going to be not understanding what's going wrong, because in our minds we can't comprehend not understanding every single word that comes out of our mouths. And sometimes it is hard, and it is probably easier for a regular teacher because they have the advantage of being able to understand the students and having that emotional connection that is quite difficult for us to form because we can't sort of understand them if they're crying or if they're arguing or some certain words they're shouting at each other. We don't understand, so we don't really comprehend what's going on. And sometimes body language doesn't help us with that. And the regular teachers, they can understand that, and they understand exactly which parts of the language the student is going to stumble across. Certain pronunciation, they know exactly where and how to teach it, whereas we don't. And another point is that as a ESL teacher, there are various dialects and accents of English, and sometimes it is hard to remember which is the normal form of speaking English, whereas the teachers who have learned the language, they know our grammatical structures probably better than us, because unlike them we were surrounded by it, so it just came to us naturally, whereas they had to study grammatical structures, sentence forms, conjugations perfectly, so their English is perfect. And because of that, they are able to teach the language sort of like as second nature, whereas we have to slow it down, we have to think, we use idioms and certain colloquial phrases, which to us is it's native, it's normal, whereas to them, saying just, oh, it's a piece of cake, that can cause so many problems, and we have to learn ways of going about it and to relate to every student. And sometimes that can be quite hard for the ESL teacher, especially if we don't speak the native language and we can't form that emotional bond with the students because there is that language barrier. And sometimes it can make the ESL teacher feel quite helpless because we think we should be doing more or we could be doing more, but we're sort of trapped in our own little English bubble, whereas the other teacher, they can form every bond with the student, they can understand, they can teach, they know perfectly what to do, whereas to us most of it is crossing hurdles, especially in the beginning with very little experience. And those are just a few of the disadvantages I would like to discuss today. But don't get me wrong, having a native English speaker, there are so many advantages that it is sometimes hard to think of what the disadvantages are. But there are a few hurdles that need to be crossed when teaching English as a foreign language in English as a second language school. Thank you.